Hey, hello drumstickers, welcome again to my house, to my place, Alberto Iglesias Drumsticks Sunday channel, a different pair of drumsticks every week. And well, first of all, what a great pleasure I have this past Friday. I went to Gijón, it's just really close to here to Santander, because Manuel Reina, awesome player, was there giving a clinic, and was organized by Jairo Ubiaño, another beast player, and we were there. Well, it was awesome to see this guy play. if you ever have a chance to see Manuel play, you have to go. If you have my personal Instagram account, I put a small part of a drum solo he made, and it's wow. So let's talk about drumstick, okay? This week I've been using a model that a couple of friends, when they told me about it in the past, and he said, oh, I used to use that pair and it was kind of cool and all that. Well, this is the model. This is the SD2 Bolero from VicFirth. Well, this is the drumsticks. And before starting to talk about measures and all that, let's see the picture, okay? Here you have it. Well, what do you think? Well, first of all, the measures, as always, we're talking about it's 15 plus 3/4 of inch, okay? So that's the length of the drumstick. About the thickness, we're talking about 0.635 inches. It's kind of a short taper, small round tip, as you can see, and one of the most important things is that it's maple, okay? So we have maple wood. Well, we can explain a little bit that measures. About the length is just a little bit less than the regular 16 inches. Not too much, honestly. You barely notice that when you start playing. Okay, about the thickness, that very important. It's pretty thick, the drumstick. It's even more than a 2B. We have 2B is 0.633, sorry, and this is 635, so it's just even a little bit more. So you can notice that immediately when you get you have this drumstick in your hand. It's super thick, okay. But at the same time, it's maple and it's super light, okay. It's kind of surprising when you get when you see this pair in a place and you just go and grab it. You immediately notice it's kind of strange how it feels, because you are expecting something with more weight, but because it's maple, it's super light, so it's kind of strange. It was a little bit surprising at the beginning for me. Well, the taper is super short, and in this case, because of the tip, as you can see, is also super small and round, and because of that, because the tip is so small and we have such a thick drumstick, the taper is kind of extreme. You can see it's in a short space. You can see how it decreases with a lot of angle. So it looks to me like it's two different drumsticks in one. It's like if you see this part, it's like, okay, this is one drumstick, but then you see this other part, it's like it belongs to a different drumstick. It's kind of cool, kind of strange, but okay. Well, but first I'm going to explain a little bit about the American Custom series. It's a series from VicFirth that it was designed by VicFirth. And it's more okay. The whole series is in maple, so it's more designed or think for people, for those of you that like, or maybe you play lighter styles, okay, jazz, or maybe orchestral styles, or things that doesn't require a lot of volume or sound. And or at the same time, for those of you that even playing other kind of styles, you really prefer lighter drumsticks. Okay, it's more or less the goal of this series. Okay, I can also explain you something that what's the meaning of SD, because I was asked in the past when I test the SD10 swinger model, which is from American Custom Series 2. So I asked VicFirth directly, and they answered me and explained that SD is snare drum. And apparently it's because VicFirth designed these SD models focusing on snare playing for people that play snare. And then when drums start being more developed and expanded and all that, many people that were using this for snare playing start using it also for drums. So, but the design was thought especially for snare drum playing. Okay, that's all about the SD2. As I was saying, you can use it for any style you want, but you have to pay attention to that they are all kind of light drumsticks. Okay. Well, what else? I'm looking at here a small piece of paper I have with the things I want to say. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about this specific model. Okay, the SD2 Bolero. First of all, I have no idea whether you call it Bolero. No idea, so I can tell you why. But what I can tell you, first of all, I'm going to talk a little bit about the grip or the thickness of the drumstick. Okay, it's kind of it's a thick drumstick. So it's very important to realize that first, because that's something you have to consider. If you like, if you are used to maybe 5A, 5B, or that more regular sizes, this is gonna feel kind of strange in your hand. But I would say that it's not. It's kind of a strange combination, as I was mentioning earlier, because it's so light that once you get it, it's thick, but at the same time you start feeling, oh, but I can handle this. So I can get, for example, for snare playing, for pad practicing, for all that, sometimes I prefer more thickness. It's kind of, I feel, I'm able to feel more the drumstick, and to, I don't know if it's something, I've heard this from many other players that prefer, in fact, people that plays, snare, all that snare playing with a lot of acrobatics and all that stuff, they usually have super thick drumsticks and long also. But in this case, it's kind of, I prefer that thickness. But if you play more aggressive styles or heavy styles and all that, you are gonna miss a lot of weight here, because of course it's gonna affect the sound, the body of the sound and all that. So I would say, if you like, about the thickness, if you like thick drumsticks, but you're looking for something more, but you don't want a lot of weight because you don't need it or you don't like it and you prefer less volume, less body and all that stuff, amazing option. Okay, you can go, I will try this without any doubt, because it's a great combination for that. Because I assume that sometimes it's hard, because when you really want thick drumsticks, if you go to a 2B or something, it's super wet, it's heavy, and as I was mentioning in the past, sometimes but I want to play jazz and super light jazz, but I really need something with more thickness, because it's what fits better for me and what works better. So you need also this option. Okay, that's about the thickness. About the taper. Okay, here I'm going to talk. For me, it's one of the maybe the most important thing of the drumstick is that, together with the thickness, but the super short taper. In this case, it's for me super important. It's what I think it's what what is making this model so special? Okay, if you remember, we've been talking about another type of models like the Vincent Jazz Stick 5A, the American Jazz 1 from VicFirth. Those are drumsticks that have a super long taper with a more regular thickness, 5A or 5B. And when I explain that models, which I love, it's one of my favorites, you get you have super fast rebound. They are super fast drumsticks, but because of the long taper and no weight here, it's kind of inconsistent rebound. You have to learn to control that rebound, and you have less body. You can have volume, but the body of the sound, there's more thin, if that's a word, of the sound. So that's what happens with that. In this case, it's kind of the opposite combination, in my opinion, because you have the rebound of the maple, which is of a lighter drumstick. You have that kind of speed that you get because it's lighter, so it rebounds better. It's easier to move around the kit and all that. You get that in I would say in the fast direction. You have that, but you have a super short taper that is going in the opposite side. It's gonna give you less rebound. But what happened, and another thing, one more thing is the tip. It's super small tip, round and small tips gives you also better rebound. So you have that combination, and what I've been noticing is that it's a kind of a medium to fast drumstick, really comfortable to play, honestly, but it's more, the rebound is more stable. I would say that the quantity of speed you miss because of the taper, it's kind of fitting that stability problem that you can have with the long taper drumsticks. I don't know if I'm explaining okay. It's a great, for me it's great if you have a chance to compare this model with a long taper one. It's kind of easy to understand the difference, I think, because it's that you have, this is a kind of medium to fast drumstick, and it's not fast because to make it more stable you have to sacrifice a little bit of that speed that you get from the long taper. Okay, so I personally prefer the long taper, but I also have to admit that sometimes with some styles because of the type of music you're playing, you need some more stability, or I would even say that the type of sound you get, it's maybe with a little bit more of body, even with maple. Honestly, maybe it's something, it's kind of that I have in my mind because of the weight these drumstick rebounds. It feels more with more, I don't know how to say that, with more strength. It's more robust. When you feel more the stroke and the rebound that with a long taper one, when you can feel immediately how you have a lot of speed in the beginning, it's a lot of acceleration. With this one, it's more, the rebound is fast but stable at the same time. Okay. So, but it's maple, so you can expect a lot of vulnerable sound. Okay, the weight have an influence too. So that's kind of my thing with this drumstick. Great option to combine with the other one if you are not sure about the long taper, and you feel, oh, I like long taper, but I don't know, it feels strange for me. The rebound is kind of super hard to control or something like that. You can give a try to this. You have other options with maple. I will probably check that out in the future, but for a thick solution, this is a great option. Okay. About the sound, I would say that because of the round tip, well, first because of the maple. For me in general, maple gives, I think, from now, as always, from cymbals is where you can notice this difference more, it's more clear, I think. If you play the right, especially, maple is kind of a little bit warmer, in my opinion. I know, yeah, I think warmer is a great word for that. Because obviously it's more it's softer. It's a softer wood, so it looks to me like it sounds with a more warmer tone. But in this case, because you have a small round tip, you also have more focus sound, more definition, all that thing about articulation and all that. So I think it's kind of a mix too, when you get the warmer part of maple, but also you can hear pretty clear the stroke and the cymbal. So for stringing, for example, it's kind of I really like the sound. Don't forget, in my case, I play all kind of dry cymbals, so I think this drumstick really cooperates with that thing, like all the dry, warm sound. No? So, but maybe if you play a more rock or more bright cymbal with a lot of ping and all that, this is gonna give you maybe it's gonna make your sound less pinger or less pinging or less. You're gonna get more maybe more warm tones and all that. The cymbals are not going to open too much because of the weight mainly and the tip. But of course you have the short taper, so you have more weight in the front, and it's not as defined as in the case of the long taper. What else can I say? The rest is as always. Well, you know, round tip, it's more stability. You have more consistency is the word that I would say. When you are using a round tip, I've been telling you this a lot of times, but with the round tip in general, it's the first thing you're gonna notice. Maybe is that the stability of the consistency of the strokes, because it doesn't matter the angle or when you have positioning, the surface that is touching the drum head is the same. So it's that what you get from that here. So to recap, it's honestly it's super comfortable to play. I would say I still prefer the long taper option, in my opinion, but because of my style, it doesn't require a lot of sound, a lot of body in the hit and all that. But don't think that because it's so thick it's gonna work for you with heavy styles. I think for heavy styles you're gonna miss the weight, probably, and also the tip for a heavy style when you want the cymbals maybe to open more and all that, and you're gonna miss also more material here, bigger tips and all that. But as I was mentioning, if you really like thick drumsticks because it works for you, for your body and your physical aspects, let's say, great option. Okay, you can check it out, and of course, as I always say, let me see what do you think, and if you have more comments or something that you disagree with me, it's good to know. I always want to learn something new from this. Okay, that's all I have to say about the Bolero. Not designed for Bolero, I think, honestly. I sometimes have to play a little bit of Bolero, and it's not. I don't see any benefit on this drumstick for that. So maybe you can explain me why it's called Bolero. Good to know. For the next week, I'm going with something that, okay, I'm going to repeat VicFirth again, but mainly because I have this pair here for a long time, because I started using this pair when I started playing, maybe not started playing, but when I started playing jazz. I get this pair because it's the pair that you are supposed to have. And it's the VicFirth 7A-N with a nylon tip from VicFirth, okay? And it's kind of one of the drumsticks that you know, if you play jazz, you have to have a 7A, and of course, you also need a nylon tip. So I'm gonna use this. I haven't used this maybe for 1.5 years or something like that, but I used it in the past. So I'm going to reuse it for this week, see how it feels now with everything I've been learning and studying. And especially, I really want to talk about the nylon tip. The next, we've been using some models with nylon tip, but they were usually having maybe a round tip or something different. This is kind of a corner, some standard tip, but just with nylon. Okay, so I'm gonna use this model to talk about that more than the 7A. It's more to talk about this nylon version of the regular tip. Okay, so as always, have a nice week. Be ready for Christmas. It's almost here, and see you in 7 days. And we're going to talk about drumsticks again. Okay, have a nice week. Goodbye.